Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the What If. Chapter 36 Off to Ba-chan. Whatever you say. Don't believe you. The trio turned their heads to see Naruto lifting his head, his eyes fierce as he coughed some more blood. Oh, I'm impressed. Despite Sasori's poison numbing your body, you still managed to retain consciousness, Itachi spoke calmly while the blonde continued to cough. Naruto, don't push yourself. I know you're hurt, we'll solve this later. Just rest for now, the water clone of Kakashi said in concern. No, how could you? How could you? You forgot all the training you gave me. Those 2 months we spent in Tsukiyomi. All those things you taught me. I don't believe you, he yelled, using up his remaining energy before panting heavily. Kakashi's eyes softened when he noticed a fear tears slipping down the blonde's cheek while Itachi's face remained emotionless. How could you do this, Itachi? I don't believe you, no matter what you say. The tears that I accidentally noticed back then, the sorrowness I saw in your eyes at that time, was it all a lie? Was Danzo playing with my emotions all the time? I don't believe this shit. I just can't, he thought as more tears glossed his vision. You are naive, Naruto-kun. If someone shows you a shred of pity, even a hint that they care for you, if they share a smile with you, if they teach you something, you immediately trust them blindly. The world of shinobi does not work like that, it is not as bright as you think. You let your emotions guide you, and that's why. Itachi paused as he closed his eyes, making Kakashi narrow his eyes. Naruto, however, had his eyes widened as every word carved deep into his mind. That's why, Naruto-kun, no matter how strong you get physically, as a shinobi, you will always be weak. The blonde's eyes widened considerably as the last statement pierced his heart while Itachi opened his eyes to reveal the Mangekyo Sharingan, making Kakashi's eyes widen. Ah, Itachi, you broke the Gaki's heart. Kisame mocked with a grin when the Uchiha dashed towards Naruto, besides whom Kakashi's water clone was crouched at blundering speeds. Splash! A water wall suddenly formed in front of Naruto, making Itachi stop dead in his tracks, his lips curling just a little bit upwards in a smirk. It's nice to see you, Kushina-sensei, he spoke calmly when the large amount of water descended to show the standing form of the Godime Hokage in front of Naruto. Droplets of water due to the splash seemed to fog her form to Itachi, but he could clearly make out her icy cold violet eyes as she glared at him. Uchiha Itachi, what's the meaning of this? She asked dangerously, her chakra levels already through the roof, making Kisame whistle. That's one hot red head for you, Kushina. Kakashi thought in relief as he stared at her. The Uchiha, however, just chose to close his eyes again, not responding to her, making Kushina clench her fists in anger. Slightly turning her head back, her cold eyes wavered a bit upon noticing the blonde laying on his stomach in his own pool of blood. Currently he was just staring sideways into nothing, as if shocked into the oblivion. Well, at least he was still conscious. She was just about to call him when they heard Itachi's voice. What did you think earlier, Naruto-kun? Didn't you think it strange that Kisame, an S-ranked criminal, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, would willingly become a spy for Konoha? Didn't you think it strange, from your point of view, as to why Kisame would help me? It's not like we are close friends or anything, but considering your naive thinking, I presume you must have thought so back then. You make me sad, Itachi. I really thought we were best friends, Kisame interrupted with mock sadness in his tone, whereas Kushina and Kakashi continued to stand their grounds. Ignoring Kisame yet again, Itachi continued to speak while staring at Naruto's motionless body. Didn't you find it strange that we let Orochimaru escape that day so easily? Even though he's proficient in the art of camouflaging with his surroundings, with sensory abilities of Kisami's Samahata and my Sharingan, he couldn't have gotten away from us. What are you implying? Kakashi asked, getting interested in what the Uchiha was saying. It did make sense actually. What he means to say is that if we really would have been the good guys you believed us to be, if we really were spies for the Sandaime Hokage and were helping Konoha, then we would have eliminated that snake that day. And because of that, the invasion would have never happened. Kisame spoke with a serious expression this time while Kakashi's eyes widened in realization, whereas Kushina found herself confused about this situation. She didn't know what was going on here, Why was Naruto laying there in his own pool of blood, or why Itachi and Kisame were acting like this? However, years of experience made her stay calm and patient about the situation right now. Then you mean to say that Danzo was just using you two as puppets to keep track of Akatsuki's movements? If so, then why would he let Orochimaru get away? Hi, but by controlling us, Danzo achieved much more than that. Before Orochimaru deflected from Konoha, he teamed up with Danzo and planted those Shodime cells in his body, Itachi answered in a monotone voice when Kushina asked in shock. Danzo and Orochimaru are working together, making him nod. Orochimaru attacking Team 7 in the Forest of Death, then we under the control of Danzo appearing there making Orochimaru flee. It was all a part of their plan to win Naruto's trust, possibly awaken his rinnegan and getting my foolish little brother a Sharingan source for Orochimaru under control using the curse mark. Via Orochimaru, Danzo later tried to control Naruto, whom he considers as a weapon, by placing the curse mark on him during the preliminaries. But apparently, as you know, that failed. Orochimaru later took Sasuke as planned by both of them. Now as reported by Zetsu, Danzo had at some point put Roshi the Yonbi Jinchuriki under Kodo Amatsukami after Iwa had agreed with the Yondaime Kage's offer. And later he made Roshi train Sabaku no Gaara in controlling his Biju in Otogaku, hence the reason for the Ikibi Jinchuriki's drastic increase in strength so that later he could help with the invasion. During the invasion, Danzo and his root Anbu hid in the underground while Orochimaru headed the invasion as planned. Itachi finished while Kushina stood frozen in shock whereas Kakashi, somehow coming over his own bundle of mind-boggling surprises asked in suspicion. Why would Danzo, who wanted to become the Hokage, would try to destroy Konoha? Orochimaru I can understand, but there's no way he would ever do that. Even I don't know what goes inside his head, but I have a theory. Danzo planned for Orochimaru to invade Konoha for the exact same reason you mentioned, to become the Hokage. By having the Sandaime get killed by Orochimaru, he would have become the Godime Hokage through voting in the recommendation of the Fire Daimyo, using Kodo Amatsukami of course. But Naruto became a big wrench in his plans. By saving the Sandaime Hokage, he ruined Danzo's plans. Because now Sarutobi Hiruzen was alive, he could either resume his duties as the Hokage, or name his successor. Danzo was definitely not on that list. And that's why, Kushina-sensei here became the Godime Hokage. The Uchiha finished as a wind flew by their stationary forms. Kakashi now was feeling that Itachi really was saying the truth, all that he had said seemed to be logical and evidential. But why would you tell this to us? It seems as though you want us to eliminate him for you guys, Kakashi uttered in a stern voice making Kisame snort in amusement while Itachi replied calmly. Akatsuki already wanted Orochimaru dead. And now with Danzo teaming up with him, it's better if Konoha kills him before he causes any real trouble to our goals. Who knows, he may use Kodo Amatsukami on other of our members. Kushina seemed to be deep in thought, but still on high alert as she mulled over the fact that Danzo really had teamed up with Orochimaru. Kakashi however felt a headache approaching. He had never thought things could turn out this way. Things just seemed to be getting worse not only for Naruto, but also for Konoha. Kakashi and Kushina however both tensed when Itachi took a step forward on the water. Now that our conversation is over, I would advise you to hand Naruto-kun over to us, Kushina-sensei, he verbalized making Kushina stare at him as if he was crazy. You really think I would do that? Not in a million years. She exclaimed loudly with a serious expression while Naruto continued to lay there motionless. If you don't, a lot of blood will be shed. We will go to any lengths to get what we want, even if it means destroying Konoha in the process. Would you be willing to risk so much, Kushina-sensei? He asked when the redhead narrowed her eyes. I would never leave Naruto, ever. The ferocity of her gaze, the way she roared surprised even Kakashi. So you're choosing one person over an entire village. I wonder if they made the right choice in making you the Hokage, Kisame articulated with a grin making Kushina glare at him. He's not just any person, Sharkface, he's my son. And if it ever comes to choosing between Konoha and Naruto, I'll step down as the Hokage and fight to protect my Naruto, Kushina said while Kisami's eyebrows twitched at his nickname. I see then, Itachi muttered as he closed his eyes, his lips curled a bit upwards. Did he seem to be smiling a bit? Kakashi's eyes however widened when Itachi snapped opened his eyes to reveal the Mangekyo Sharingan yet again as he stared into Kushina's violet ones. Don't stare into his eyes. Kakashi yelled, making Kushina's eyes widen. Tsukio. Suddenly Itachi felt a weak invisible force hit him, making him skid a bit across the water, disrupting the execution of his technique. I can't believe that Gaki's still conscious, Kisame spoke in an impressed tone as all of them turned their heads to stare at Naruto, who currently had his arm outstretched in the direction of Itachi as he panted heavily, blood streaming down his chin. Naruto! Kushina exclaimed sternly in a mixture of anger and concern for him. Don't push yourself. The blonde however stared at Itachi as his eyes began to close. I don't believe you, were the last words he spoke before losing consciousness, making Kushina bite her lower lip. Her heart was being torn apart at seeing him in such a sight. Kakashi, take Naruto to the hospital at once. Kushina ordered with authority, making the Junin nod when Kisame intervened. You really think we would let you? A large grin on his face as he pointed the wrapped Samahata at Kushina. And you really think we would let you capture Naruto-kun? Came a voice as 5 blurry figures landed in front of Kushina. Oh, reinforcements eh? Kisame spoke with an excited grin while Itachi deactivated his Sharingan, whereas Kakashi had already left the area with Naruto. The 5 figures however revealed to be Guy, Asuma, Hana, Yugao and Kurenai, all having deep frowns on their faces. Itachi, what's the meaning of this? Hana growled in anger. Let's leave, Kisame. We've already done what we came for. Itachi spoke, making everyone present narrow their eyes at him while Kisame nodded as they shunshined out of there. We have to follow them. Kurenai exclaimed when Kushina suddenly intervened. Don't. The only thing you'll succeed is in killing yourselves. Her voice sharp as she stood there. But this is an order. Her voice booming throughout the area as Kushina glared at them, her fists clenched before she shunshined away while Asuma just sighed. She's in a real bad mood, he muttered, lighting his cigarette while Kurenai, Hana and Yugao seemed to be frowning. Such unyouthfulness, Guy spoke with an uncharacteristic sigh, for once at a normal decibel level when Yugao said quietly. I'm gonna check up on Naruto-kun's condition, before vanishing in a puff of smoke followed by Kurenai and Hana. Konoha's General Hospital, where is Naruto? The recipient there almost squeaked in response when Kushina's loud voice echoed through the hall and the corridors, who currently was standing in front of her with her hands on the desk. She seemed to be in one hell of a hurry, but the recipient knew what was going on considering Kakashi had just appeared a few minutes ago with a bloody Naruto in his arms. It was ironic how medics had rushed to treat him, when in the past they would just ignore it like nothing happened. Hokage-sama. She trailed in surprise while Kushina growled as a huge killer intent washed over the lobby. She all but yelled in impatience, her cold violet eyes piercing through the frail civilian recipient. Second F floor. I see you, she stuttered as Kushina vanished in a flash, making all the papers fly off the desk while the recipient sighed in relief as she wiped the sweat off her brow. Second floor. Kakashi was sitting outside the intensive care unit, its red light activated above the closed door when suddenly Kushina appeared in a puff of smoke. Kakashi, how is he? She almost screamed in urgency as the masked nin lifted his head to stare at her. She knew how much damage Naruto had done to his body during the invasion, most of his muscles were torn or were under extreme strain. She knew how Ayumi had worked day and night to first heal his chakra reserves, at least the minimum amount of chakra necessary for his body to function his life force. But now, she didn't know the complete extent of his injuries, but seeing him laying in his own pool of blood indicated it was critical. Ayumi had already used too much Yuki from trying to heal him earlier. Kushina knew that she wouldn't be able to use her Yuki again as that would only further damage his chakra coils. He's in a critical condition, Kushina nay. You know Sasori of the Red Sand, right? The S-rank missing nin of Suna? He asked, making a soft impatient growl escape her lips. What does that have to do with the present condition here? She asked aggressively while the copy nin seemed to be unfazed by her outburst as he replied calmly. The kunai that Itachi stabbed Naruto with, was coated with the poison created by Sasori. You how dangerous his poisons are, right? Kushina clenched her fists as she closed her eyes, trying to force back her tears. Come on, how can you cry, Kushina? You're the Hokage now, damn it. Control yourself. She mentally spoke to herself, but knowing that Naruto, her baby, the one she loved the most in the world, was suffering, it felt like she herself was dying out here. There's only so much Kyuubi's Yuki can do. It may heal the physical wound caused by the kunai, but the poison that is in his body requires Kyuubi to flush out its Yuki throughout his chakra circulatory system to completely destroy it, but this time it would further damage him. This time, it comes to solely on the medics to treat him, he uttered gravely as Kushina just sat down beside him, putting her palms on her face as she tried to control herself. It didn't matter if his DNA had changed, he still was her son, her baby boy. Their relation was complex, he was also her lover. But still, she couldn't forget the time she had carried him for 10 months, the time he would kick her stomach from the inside lightly whenever she laughed. She knew he liked to see her smile. He was her bundle of joy, one that held her heart. She still remembered his face when he was born on that night, those adoring light whisker marks on his soft chubby cheeks, the little tuft of his sun-kissed blonde hair on his head, the cute yawn that escaped his pink lips, that peaceful expression on his face, the way his little fingers and toes curled and uncurled right at that moment. She knew that he was the most precious thing to her in the world, that she would forever love him. That I would protect him from everything that was a harm to him, she thought as an inaudible choked sob escaped her lips, which Kakashi didn't miss as he too sat with a forlorn look on his face. Poof! He lifted his head when Hana, Kurenai and Yugao arrived via Shunshin, they too having concerned looks on their faces. What's his Kondi? Hana paused when she noticed the way both of them were sitting. Kakashi, how is he doing? Yugao asked softly as the Junin informed them of the present condition, not surprised to see the worried looks in their eyes. He knew they loved Naruto, it was not a hidden fact anymore. Nei-chan, I'm sure he would be all right, Hana spoke in a comforting tone as she put her hand on Kushina's shoulder. Lifting her face, Hana noticed a lone tear stream down her cheek, her eyes pearly due to the tears as she suddenly hugged Hana tighty. Kushina knew that she was the Hokage, that she should stay strong and not break like this, but she was also a mother. When it came to Naruto, she just couldn't control herself. No matter how hard she tried to compose herself, he was her weakness and at the same time her strength. Kurenai and Yugao too stared at her in sadness as they stood still, not knowing what to do in this situation. They felt helpless, all they could do was wait and pray that he would be all right. All of them turned their heads when Jiraiya and Hiruzen arrived via Shunshin, a panicked look on the Sanin's face. Kushina, what happened? I heard that Kisame and Itachi had arrived in the village. And why is Naruto injured again? Jiraiya asked questions in quick succession when Kakashi stood up with a sigh while Kushina just buried her face into Hana's shoulder. All right Jiraiya-sama, Sandaime-sama, what I'm about to tell you stays with us, Kakashi said as he went through a few hand seals, activating the sound barrier while Kurenai applied a high-level genjutsu on the group. Kakashi, what is going on? Sarutobi asked with a serious expression while the medics continued to treat Naruto. 20 minutes later, "Oh Kami," Hiruzen muttered in shock as he stood there stunned, not believing his ears while Jiraiya had his eyes narrowed. I never thought Danzo would go to such lengths, the Sandaime spoke while Kurenai, Hana and Yugao too looked flabbergasted at the unexpected turn of events. Still, he could be bluffing to throw us off guard, Jiraiya muttered while Kushina, who was still sitting, seemed to be staring at the floor, as if in trance. No, I don't think he would be lying to us because during the 1-month gap between the second part of Chunin exams and the final exams, Danzo wasn't in the village. And even during the invasion, nobody saw Danzo, not even one of his root Anbu were spotted by any of our ninja, Sarutobi said, further pushing the fact that Danzo was controlling Itachi while Kakashi deactivated the barrier along with Kurenai dispelling the genjutsu. So what do we do from now? What abo? Kakashi was interrupted when suddenly the door was opened as an aged medic came out, the red light turning off signifying that the operation was over. How is he? Kushina suddenly stood up, a concerned expression on her face taking the others by a bit of surprise. For the last 20 or so minutes, she had not uttered even a single word. Seeing the down look on the medic's face, she started considering the worst but immediately shook her head to get rid of such ridiculous thoughts. How is he, Ahura-san? Hiruzen asked calmly, but you could see the concern in his eyes. Sandaime-sama, we have treated the physical wound. It was easy to do that considering his enhanced healing rates. But what's critical is the internal damage that the poison is causing. Unfortunately, we don't have the antidote, nor any of us seem to know how to make one for it. It seems very complex. None of us have any idea on what. I don't care what you say. There has got to be any way to get rid of that poison. You guys are the best medics we have in the village currently. Kushina exclaimed loudly after grabbing his white coat. Hokage-sama, I'm sorry B, but... He trailed as she tightened the grip on him with a snarl. Tsunade. Everyone snapped their heads towards Jiraiya, who had a serious expression on his face. What? Hiruzen asked while looks of realization dawned on the faces of everyone else whereas Jiraiya inwardly rolled his eyes at Sarutobi. Yeah, sensei really is getting old, hearing impairment I guess. Kushina, you spoke earlier that we would bring Tsunade back, now's the time. She's our definite best bet, the only one who can cure Naruto right now. The Sannin spoke seriously as Kushina loosened her hold on the medic's coat, her eyes now hopeful. Sighing to herself, she turned her head to look at the aged medic with a guilty look in her eyes. I'm sorry for that Oji-san, she muttered making the medic look at her flabbergasted. In fact the others too found themselves stunned at this. The Hokage was apologizing to him. How big was that? It's fine Hokage-sama, he stuttered in an unsure voice while she nodded, her gaze on the floor before moving forward to bypass him. I'm so gonna boast to my grandkids that how Hokage-sama apologized to their old man, he thought with a silly expression as he walked through the corridor. She sure is unpredictable, Hiruzen spoke with a sigh. Yeah, just like her son, Kakashi muttered under his mask as they entered the room too. Meanwhile inside ICU ward, Kushina immediately rushed to Naruto's side, who currently was unconscious, but the pale color of his skin explained the seriousness of the situation while the remaining medics exited the room quietly. Naru-kun, she muttered in concern as the blonde laid there unconscious, bandages wrapped around his midsection as his spiky blonde locks pointed in all directions, messier than usual. Grabbing hold of his hands, she cringed upon noticing how cold they were. Squeezing his hand tighter, she began to graze his forehead and scalp lovingly as she stared at him. Kushina, we have to take him to Tsunade. She turned her head in surprise upon hearing what Jiraiya had said while Kurenai, Hana and Yugao too walked to the other side of his bed quickly. He doesn't look good, Kurenai spoke softly as she held his hand, her voice wavering a bit while Hana and Yugao too gazed at him with worry reflecting in their eyes. What do you mean Jiraiya? Why not just bring Tsunade here? Kushina asked in a dangerous tone making the Sannin narrow his eyes. There's not enough time to bring her back. The best thing is to take Naruto there as fast as possible. He exclaimed quickly making Kushina's eyes widen. It was rare for Jiraiya to panic like this. Seeing Naruto like this must have disturbed him too. I'm taking him with me, he said finally with a serious expression while Hiruzen nodded with him. Then I'll go too, Kushina immediately uttered with finality. You can't Kushina, you're the Hokage, the village needs you. Especially when we are at our weakest, Sarutobi verbalized in a calm manner making the redhead clench her fists as she gritted her teeth in frustration. Seeing the Fire Queens about to speak, he immediately intervened. Nor can any of you, we need all our forces with us at this critical time when the enemy can strike anytime. Jiraiya will be able to protect Naruto-kun easily, he's not a Sannin for nothing, making them sigh in sadness as they looked at Naruto. Don't worry. I wouldn't let anyone touch him, the Toad Sage said with conviction in his voice, his tone dead serious. Right then Fire Queens knew that this was the real Jiraiya, the Toad Sage, and not some perverted idiot. Turning her head to look at the unconscious blonde, Kushina squeezed his hand tighter as she stared at him for a few seconds. Kissing his hand tenderly, she gently rested it back against his chest before standing. Falcon, she exclaimed as an Anbu wearing a falcon mask appeared in a blur to knee behind her. Hi Hokage-sama, he responded in a monotone voice as she turned around from the bed to face him. Find and inform Hyuga Hinata to pack for a mission immediately and report to the North Gate in 1 hour. If asked, just tell that it is extremely urgent, related to Uzumaki Naruto and that the details of the mission have to be kept secret, no one is to know about this except her. Not even Hiyashi. Now go, she ordered as the Anbu shunshined out with a nod while Hiruzen looked at her in surprise. You're sending a genin with me. Jiraiya asked in shock while the Fire Queens were equally shocked too, whereas Kushina started to walk towards the door. No longer a genin, she's a chunin now. Besides, her Toyotama Byakugan will make finding Tsunade that much easier. Add to the fact that when it comes to Naru-kun, she's a whole new person, a deadly force to deal with. Where are you going now, Kushina? Hiruzen asked her in confusion. There's another person I want to send on this mission. Pack up, Jiraiya. You guys are leaving with Naruto in an hour, she replied in a low tone before leaving the room. Come to think of it, I haven't seen or heard from Danzo since the invasion. We'll have to investigate this matter at once, Sarutobi thought with a serious expression as he stared at Naruto's unconscious face. Almost 1 hour later, Konoha's North Gate. Appearing via Shunshin with Naruto in his arms, Jiraiya noticed the other 2 members for this mission standing besides Kushina there while the gate was being repaired by the construction workers. Naruto-kun, Hinata exclaimed wide-eyed as she saw his unconscious body and the pale skin. He absolutely didn't look any better. Hokage-sama, what happened to him? Hinata asked as she stood in front of Jiraiya, her eyes filled with concern as she gazed at the object of her admiration and affection. What happened to the shithead? He was all up and running this morning like a sucker on high sugar. One redhead spoke with a frown when a huge amount of killer intent was aimed at her. Turning her head with a gulp, she inwardly shuddered at the way Kushina was glaring at her. Care to repeat that to Yuya? She asked, her Sharingan flashing to life as the 2 black tomos spun around her pupil. Gomen Hokage-sama, she replied softly, completely uncharacteristic of her usual, ain't taking any shit, personality. She may act bitchy towards everyone except Kin, but she knew this was not the time to play around. Kushina was the blonde's mother who currently was suffering due to an unknown poison in his body, and obviously she was in a mood. And even she knew not to provoke the likes of short-tempered cage-level kunoichi like Kushina. How did I get myself into this again? Oh yeah, she thought with a sigh as memories of what just transpired an hour ago returned to her. Flashback. Almost an hour ago, Konoha's General Hospital. Currently Yuya was sitting on the bed as she stared through the window, into the blue sky. She had, for Kin, decided to stay in Konoha and become a kunoichi here, where nobody would consider them as slaves. I wonder how my life here would be. She pondered with a sigh, her facial features relaxed as she found herself at peace in this isolation for now. She turned her head when the door was slid open for Kushina to enter her room. You, she verbalized in surprise, her relaxed features immediately molding into that of her usual frown while Kushina had a serious expression on her face as she neared the kunoichi. Earlier you spoke that you wanted to join Konoha. I said then that you were not trustworthy enough as you were only willing to do that because of Kin. Well now, you have a chance to prove your loyalty. Right this moment, I'm assigning you as a Leaf Shinobi, a genin to start with even though I know you're most probably at a low to mid-junin level right now. There's this extremely important mission that I want to send you on along with Jiraiya of the legendary Sannin and a Hyuga. I believe that your skills with Genjutsu, and the experience you gained while being in Oto makes you an optimum candidate for this mission. This will be an A-rank mission and its details will be explained to you by Jiraiya on your way for we're in a hurry right now. And don't worry, I will inform Kin later on. Kushina spoke in one breath while Yuya just blinked, a WTF expression on her face when the Godime pulled the left sleeve of her tight dark blue vest, which was hugging all her curves and at the same time, exposing some cleavage. Going through a few one-handed signs, she put her chakra-laced index finger on her exposed forearm, muttering a quiet, Kai, while Yuya looked in confusion when her eyes widened. Slowly, several small square boxes, black outline, started appearing on her forearm, covering it completely. Just imagine a printed keyboard on her skin, boxes being the keys. Each of those boxes were glowing a light shade of blue while Kushina seemed to be gazing at them, as if searching for something with her Sharingan activated. What the fuck is that? Yuya asked dumbfounded, she had never seen such a thing. There are almost 50 storage seals on my forearm right now, and a size compression seal on them to make them extremely small and take less space. So to read this micro-calligraphy, I need the Sharingan to at least get the idea of what is stored in each of these seals. Furthermore, here it is, Kushina mumbled, all the while keeping her eyes on her forearm as if she was speaking involuntarily, making Tayuya sweat drop. Putting her index finger on one of the boxes, she again muttered Kai while channeling a bit more of her chakra. A puff of smoke suddenly erupted to reveal a normal-sized scroll which Kushina caught before throwing it towards Tayuya. This is a normal storage seal, and this is the emergency mission package kit, something designed to act as an emergency mission backup for shinobi who need to go on a high-ranking mission immediately without having the time to pack for that mission manually. It contains all the basic necessities of a size-adjustable pair of Junin uniforms, food and chakra pills, ration bars, first aid kit, kunai, shuriken, ninja wires, a 2-person tent, 2 sleeping bags and other stuff required for high-ranking missions, she explained while Tayuya gawked at the little scroll in her hands. She had no idea such things existed. Also, your gear is in this cabinet besides me. As for your flute, when you meet me at the north gate in an hour, I'll give it you. So get up, warm up, do whatever you need to do but be there on time, Kushina ordered before turning around as she started to walk towards the door while Tayuya just sat there dumbfounded. Oh, and Tayuya, this is your first mission under the Hittite of Konoha. I wish you luck, she spoke with a small smile reflecting of the glass in the door before exiting the room while Tayuya found herself speechless. Flashback ends. Alright, listen up, Jiraiya spoke in a serious tone, snapping Hinata out of her worried gaze and Tayuya from her thoughts. You two will go forward with a shadow clone of mine at full speed. He will explain the details of this mission. I will follow you guys, but at a slow pace considering I can't go too fast with Naruto with me because of the poison, he uttered, making Hinata's eyes widen at the mention of poison while Tayuya just narrowed her eyes. Creating a seal-less shadow clone, Jiraiya turned to Kushina while Hinata, glancing worriedly at Naruto for the last time, proceeded to follow the Jiraiya's clone and Tayuya. Kushina, don't worry, I'll definitely bring him back as good as new. That's a promise, he exclaimed with a silly grin on his face, making the Hokage nod at him with a hesitant smile. Walking closer to him, Kushina gazed at Naruto as she cupped his whiskered cheek lovingly. Leaning down, she kissed his cheek gently. You'd better return to me, Naru-kun, she whispered softly in his ear with a smile before pulling back. Why didn't Nai-chan, Yugao-chan and Hana-chan come? She asked in confusion when Jiraiya smirked lecherously. Don't worry, they've already wished Naruto luck back in the hospital, winking at her, he blurred out with a gust of wind. Ero baka, she muttered in exasperation with a lightly flushed face before turning around to gaze in the direction of where they had left. Please return to me, to us Naru-kun, the Godime Hokage thought as she stood at the entrance of Konoha. Meanwhile, unknown location, Hino Kuni. Looking at the glowing seal on the palm of her hand, Mei sighed to herself as she kept walking along with Ao and Chojiro, both of them looking at her with concerned faces. Something wrong, Mizukage-sama? Ao asked, making Mei shake her head as she closed her palm. Her stomach was twisting in a painful way as she glanced in the direction of Konoha backwards. For the past hour or so, the seal had been glowing brighter and brighter. I hope you're alright, Naruto-kun, she thought in concern. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.